India was supposed to become a $5 trillion economy by 2025. That was the target. It was repeated by ministers, economists, and industry leaders. But here we are in 2026 and India is still short of that milestone. In fact, India is now the world's sixth largest economy, having been overtaken by Japan in dollar terms. So what happened? Did the economy slow down? Did reforms not take off? Or is there more to the story? This is Quick Take, your quick guide. I'm Smita Prakash. Here's a simple fact. India's economy has actually grown substantially over the last 7 years. In 2018-19, India's GDP was about 189 lakh crore rupees. Today, it's estimated at around 364 lakh crore rupees. That's almost a doubling of the economy in just 7 years. Think about everything that happened during that period. A once-in-a-century pandemic, nationwide lockdowns, supply chain disruptions, wars in Europe and West Asia. And yet, India's economy kept growing. In fact, India remains the fastest growing major economy in the world. The IMF expects India to grow by around 6 to 6.5% this year, while many advanced economies are struggling to cross 2%. So if the economy has nearly doubled, why haven't we crossed the 5 trillion mark as yet? The answer lies in one word, the rupee. When we compare economies globally, we don't use rupees, we use US dollars. And that's where the story changes. Back in 2018, $1 was worth roughly 70 rupees. Today, it's hovering around 95 rupees. So even though India's economy has become much larger in rupee terms, every rupee converts into fewer dollars than before. Think of it this way. Imagine your salary doubles over 7 years. Sounds great. But imagine if the same time the currency you're paid in loses a significant part of its value against the world's benchmark currency. Your purchasing power in global terms doesn't rise as much as you expected. That's essentially what happened to India's GDP when measured in dollars. Today, India's economy is estimated at over $4 trillion. Had the rupee remained at its 2018 level, India would be very likely to have reached closer to the $5 trillion target. So why did the rupee weaken? Part of the answer is oil. India imports more than 85% of its crude oil requirements. And oil is paid for in dollars. Every time oil prices rise, India's demand for dollars go up. Then came another challenge. After the pandemic, inflation surged globally. To control it, the US Federal Reserve sharply increased interest rates. Money flowed into dollar assets. The dollar strengthened against almost every major currency in the world, and the rupee was no exception. Add geopolitical tensions, global uncertainty, and capital flows, and the pressure on the rupee became even stronger. Now, before we panic, it's worth remembering that this is not unique to India. Most emerging economies see their currency gradually depreciate over time. The real question is not whether the rupee weakens by a few percentage points. The real question is whether the economy grows fast enough to compensate for it. And that's where the debate gets interesting. There's plenty to be optimistic about. India's building roads, airports, ports, and railways at a pace not seen before. UPI now handles billions of digital transactions every month and has fundamentally changed the way Indians pay. But there are also warning signs. Manufacturing still accounts for only 15 to 17% of GDP, far below the levels seen in China, South Korea, or Vietnam during the rapid growth years. Private sector investment has not accelerated as much as policymakers would like. Youth unemployment remains a concern. And while India has become a major consumer of artificial intelligence, it has yet to produce a globally dominant AI platform or model of its own. For many investors, that's becoming an increasingly important question. So where is the Indian economy heading? Most economists believe India's long-term growth story remains intact. The country has favorable demographics, a large domestic market, and improving infrastructure. But the next phase of growth cannot rely on consumption and government spending alone. India needs more factories, more productive jobs, more innovation, and better skilled workers. Because ultimately, the real challenge isn't whether India becomes a $5 trillion economy in 2028, 2030, or 2032. The real challenge is whether that growth translates into higher incomes, better jobs, and better quality of life for ordinary Indians. The date is important, yes, but the quality of growth is what will truly determine India's future.